Acurx Pharmaceuticals is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company focused on developing new antibiotics for difficult to treat infections. And with me is the CEO, David Luci. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Great to have you here. And I know you've got this new clinical trial coming up where you're looking to enroll 36 patients required for the independent data that you need. So when do you expect that to happen and then to make a further decision on what's next?
Sure. So the phase 2B clinical trial is ongoing now. We expect to finish enrollment by the end of this year. It's one of three what we would call significant value inflection points the company has for the second half.
Okay, but that would impact the stock price of the company.
Absolutely.
So in the second half of this year.
Yes.
Now, we were talking a little bit about the Pasteur Act.
Yes.
Tell me what that is and how that might impact your business.
So the Pasteur Act is in Congress. It's got bipartisan support. And what it does is it incentivizes the development by incubator companies like ours to develop antibiotics to treat life-threatening infections, which is what we do. And the Pasteur Act will grant a minimum of $375 million from Health and Human Services to each sponsor of a new class of antibiotics that treat serious or life-threatening infections. And that's $37.5 million per year minimum. So it would be absolutely tremendous for our stakeholders as a $30 million public company currently, but it would also be great for public health because it is the #1 thing that Congress can do to combat antimicrobial resistance, which is described as an urgent need by the CDC and the WHO. And it will save over $2 billion over 10 years, surveys show, for the healthcare system right here in the U.S. And it's also good for patients because by stockpiling our antibiotics, say for example, patients will that have Medicare, Medicaid, and are members of the VA, they will get the drug for free. And they will get drugs that are new classes, so they won't be taking drugs that a lot of times aren't going to work because they're very old, and bacteria morphs its properties and finds a way around being killed by these older antibiotics.
Yeah. Well, and you said it had bipartisan support, so it looks like something that Washington agrees on.
Yes, I've been in touch with Senator Schumer, who's been very responsive. And, you know, it's bipartisan, I think, because Democrats seem to like price controls, and this would be giving away drug for free to those in need on Medicare, Medicaid, and the VA. And Republicans want antibiotic independence from foreign countries so that, you know, as a national security matter, we can protect the public with antibiotics that will entirely be homegrown right here in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like it would even be an investment because some of these infections that I know that you're trying to prevent can be very expensive. So
yes.
This would be a good use of money as well.
Right. Well, in terms of pricing, our drug is very inexpensive to make. So there are two other antibiotic programs used to treat C. difficile. They charge $1,800 and $4,800 respectively. And our data so far, if it's consistent throughout, our data is better than theirs. So we're targeting frontline therapy, and we could charge $1,000 for 10 days of treatment, $100 a day. And
it'll still be cheaper than what's on the market.
Undercut everybody easily. Yeah. And $700 of that would still be profit.
And I know we've talked in the past about these C. diff drugs. They haven't been modernized in a long time, and that's what you're doing, right?
That's what we're doing. Pfizer, their phase 3 program with a vaccine to treat C. diff was targeting frontline. It failed phase 3. Sanofi tried a vaccine. It failed as well. Summit Therapeutics had an antibiotic in phase 3, and they went for a superiority endpoint. Anyway, they failed as well, and now they're in oncology. So really, the seas have parted, and frontline therapy is right there for us. The frontline therapy, oral vancomycin, it experiences a 20 to 40% reinfection rate, and those who reinfect, it keeps happening over and over again. We have so far 100% cures with no reinfections. So we're very bullish on our prospects when we get to 36 patients at the end of the year. That's one of three big value inflection points. Pasteur, you know, if I were talking to senators right now, I would say, I would implore you, for public health, for national security, there are reasons why it makes an abundance of sense to kind of get this passed. And then we have an open CARB-X grant application that would give us about $1 a share and support our second antibiotic candidate for 5 years, right to the start of phase 2.
Okay. Now, when do you expect all of that to be done? Say you get the 36 patients enrolled. When do you expect to? When do you?
By the time I'm, putting the Sunday sauce on the table for Christmas dinner, we should be all set.
Okay, well, that'll be something to celebrate for sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
We'll have you over for that.
Oh, I'd love that. So now, if the company isn't sold within 5 years, what do you expect to happen to Acurx at that point?
So within 5 years, I would see our lead antibiotic candidate on the market, selling something in the hundreds of millions. And I would see our second drug in phase 2 to treat acute bacterial skin infections caused by MRSA, which is methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. And it's very common, and it's an even bigger market than the billion-dollar market within which C. diff, our lead antibiotic candidate, targets.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, David, for updating us on that. And please come back when you get these results, and we'll talk about that.
My pleasure. I'll see you on Christmas.
We'll break some news. Thank you.
Thank you.